Good evening, Ma'am Elenita Cuenca. I'm Bacuel Teres Joseph A. and this is my presentation. Glass fracture. Properties of glasses, glass fractured and type of glass fractures. Properties of glasses. Glass transparency and heat resistance. This is the glass fracture. After a streaking force, glass first bend in the direction of applied force due to elasticity. When the elastic limit exceeds, glass begins to crack, beginning with the formation of a radial crack or fracture on the surface, opposite to the penetrating force. Radial fracture, a crack in the glass that extends outward like the spoke of a wheel from the point at which glass was struck. Concentric fracture, a crack in the glass from a rough circle around the point of impact. Conchoidal fracture, a smooth curving fracture surface of fine-grained materials with no planar surface of interval, weaknesses or plans of separation, no cleavage. Type of glass fractures. Low velocity is projectiles produce crack in the glass which radiate outward from the point of impact, radial cracks. High velocity fracture, a high speed projectile striking a piece of glass will produce a cone or crater. Thermal fracture, in non-tempered glass, a typical heat crack is curved, has a smooth edge, and has no indication of the point of origin of the crack. The direction of sequence of force determination. This method determines which direction projectile went through the glass by evaluating radial fractures. In the glass fracture, first concentric ring. 4 rules. Ridge lines or radial fractures are in the right angle to the rear. First step in this method is to find radial fracture that are within the first concentric fracture. Radial fractures are similar to the spoke of the wheel. Concentric features connect the radial fracture in the pattern the same to a spider web. The next step is to figure out which side of the fragment was facing and which side was facing out. Contaminant or residue from the inside surface will different than the outside surface and help determine the slide. When the projectile strike glass, it creates ridge called conchoidal fracture along the edge that are visible in profile. These conchoidal fracture are nearly parallel to the side in which was force applied. The side of the glass opposite of the force in the rear of the glass. This is side of the glass in which conchoidal fracture lie at the right angle. Collecting and handling glass and glass fragment. The gathering of glass evidence of the crime scene and from the suspect must be thorough if the examiner is to have any chance to individualize and fragment to a common source. If even the remotest possibility exists that fragment may be a piece together, every effort must be made to collect all glass found. For example, the collection of evidence hit and run scene must include all the broken parts, the headlight and reflector lenses. The evidence may ultimately prove to be to be an invaluable means of placing a suspect vehicle. When an individual pit thought intolerable, the evidence collector must submit all glass evidence found in the possession of the suspect along with a representative sample of broken glass remaining at the crime scene. The glass fragment should be packaged in solid container to avoid further breakage. If the suspect's shoe or clothing are be examined for the presence of glass fragments, they should be individually wrapped in paper and transmitted to the laboratory. When a determination of the direction of impact is desired, all broken glass must be recovered and submitted for analysis whether possible. The exterior and interior glass must indicated. And this is the glass analysis. Forensic analysis of glass consists of the examination of two or more fragments to determine whether they have a common origin. Identify broken glass fragment having a common source to the exclusion of all other source may only be done if they can be physically matched together. Sample from a crime scene must be confirmed as a glass differentiating glass from plastic is done by examining relative hardness, solubility, and observation. With polarized light microscope, once confirmed as a glass, the examiner will perform an analysis of physical properties, optical properties, and chemical composition. If difference between question and known sample is found at any points in the process, no further comparison is needed. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.